to another edition of What You Drinkin'. I'm Dan Quirk, Vice President of Marketing for Quirk's Media. Today, we're interviewing Melanie Courtright, the new CEO of the Insights Association. Well, hello, Melanie. How are you doing today?
Good, thank you. Hello, thanks for talking with me today.
Yeah, so what you drinking?
I'm drinking a Batman. This is a Batman. I love this drink. I first learned about it at a place called Pluckers. It's a wings joint here in the South. It's an old Southern mason jar drink. It's got a little bit of Curacao, some Grenadine, Tito's vodka made here in Texas in the great city of Austin. It's just one of those hot summer days, eating hot wings and drinking something a little bit sweet and by the poolside. It's called the Batman. I'll give you the recipe.
That's great. Maybe we can add the recipe at the end of this video for those of you watching. And I'm drinking today, interestingly enough, I also have Tito's. I have just cranberry and Tito's in a glass that I bought. I bought these, I think it was 2001 in Italy at an SMR conference that they had in Rome. And so what's some of my favorite glasses. So.
Well, my glass is not as beautiful, but it's much larger, and so I have an advantage from the very large mason jar I have here.
It kind of speaks to rural Texas, right?
Yes.
So anyway, well, I wanted to interview you today to find out what you think is kind of going on in the industry. You have sort of a bird's eye view of the industry, especially in light of this pandemic.
Yeah, thank you. So I do. And every day is different for me right now. For those of you, who don't know, I'm only about 120 days into my role with the Insights Association, but I am seeing all parts of it, and I'm loving that. What I can tell you is that there are parts of the industry that are growing, and they're doing well, they're expanding, they're hiring. Then there are parts of the industry that are really struggling, and that they're having to do furloughs and layoffs, and they're worried about the viability. And you can imagine that falling out in kind of obvious ways, qualitative, in person, but it's not quite that simple because the buyers oftentimes are from all the sectors. Even their quantitative research can suffer. And so some parts are doing well, some parts are doing okay, and some parts are really struggling. What is amazing is that unlike normal competitive times, the industry is really pulling together, and people who are doing well are over investing in staff, in hiring, in advertising, in monies for where they can. And they're trying very hard to do things like help people get jobs and releasing of non-competes. And so the industry is really coming together as a family, and that's beautiful. But the industry is strained right now for sure, and but it's beautiful to see us remember that we're a family and to come together and figure it all out together.
And do you see? I mean, I'll give you my opinion. Is that I think when this pandemic is over, there's going to be a new consumer out there. We're all going to be changed in some way, and so do you see that the industry actually is getting poised for a huge growth? We can make it through this.
I do. So we had an interesting conversation about this between Simon and Lisa and some of the people on our board. And Lisa Courtright actually said, if we do this right, we can actually come out of it with something special and new, and a new normal that can really fuel growth. And the key, though, is to not just think about where we are today, but to already start be thinking about where the consumer is going to land on the other side of this, be studying it, following it, learning from it, and start to plan for that. There will be parts of our industry that will change probably forever. On the other side of that, the reason they will change forever is because new ways of doing things will emerge, and there will be new parts that emerge out of it. And so I think that we'll be bigger and stronger on the other side of it for sure.
That's sort of how I feel too. I think if we can get through this together, if the pandemic teaches us anything, it's that now more than ever, data is so valuable. But not just the data, but understanding the data and then being able to tell a story with that data. And I think that's where the Insight Association can really help lead this industry.
Yeah, I did a LinkedIn post on that about if this particular pandemic has taught us anything, it's that uncertainty is a parent of fear. not knowing what to do, confusion is the parent of reactionary fear. And there's been just a massive gap in what we need to know and what we actually know, and really understanding the facts of how to respond and what to do. And so this pandemic has definitely taught us the importance of data.
Yep. Yep. Well, I'm going to move on to the next portion of our interview now, where I have a box and I have questions. I'm going to grab one out here. Random question for you is, how did you get into marketing research?
Well, that's fun. I fell into marketing research. I did not go to school to be a data scientist. I was actually in the U.S. Army, and I studied languages. And so I speak Persian, Farsi. I also learned Spanish in high school growing up in Florida, and in middle school as well. And then I did some Greek when I was in college. And so I've always been good with languages. And after I left the military, I worked for Texas Instruments for a little while. And on the other side of that, I started doing translation work for a local research firm. I was translating open-ended comments out of Spanish and Farsi into English, and then also doing translation work on their questionnaires. And I spent 2 years cleaning and coding verbatim comments, translating, cleaning, and coding verbatim comments. So, and I loved it. I ended up kind of growing into all sorts of roles, but it was my languages that got me into it.
Interesting. I always say that there's nobody over the age of 40 who had planned to be a marketing researcher, or do that. Now, though, it is interesting. You're seeing, programs in it, and online programs, and majors in it, and masters in it, which is a good thing. It's bringing professionalism to the industry.
It is.
I do want to thank you so much for sitting down with us today, and enjoy your drink, and we will talk to you soon.
Cheers.
Cheers. All righty. Bye.